if you guys want to also say in the chat, any like where you're from, your website, you can feel free to introduce yourself at any time. And otherwise, I'm actually just going to go ahead and get started with the screen share. So let's see. All right. So we're just talking about your profitable blog, if I can talk. And first, I know I have quite a few new people who signed up for this workshop, so I just want to let you know who I am a little bit. I'm Haley DeYoung, and I help bloggers and online entrepreneurs to stand out and start seeing profit from their online presence. So I know a lot of you either already have a blog or are thinking of starting a blog. Maybe you run like an Etsy shop. All of those different things are great ways to have an online presence, and I'm going to show you a little, ways that you can actually start seeing some more money from that, and especially in a passive income stream. So, all right, so what we're talking about today, first we're going to talk about how to find a topic for your product. And then we're going to talk about how to choose a product delivery method. So a lot of times, one of the questions that I have is like, how do I host the product? How do I deliver it to customers who purchase it? And so we're going to talk about that. And so then we're also going to talk about how to build a launch list. So a lot of you might already have email lists, and that's wonderful. You're going to also share your launch with them. But it's also important that you kind of have an idea that some of your subscribers are going to be specifically interested in this product. So then we're also going to talk about organizing and creating your product. So obviously, you have to kind of pick out what works for you, but I've got a couple of tips to help you with creating your product and how I've organized my product creation in the past. And the very last thing that we're going to cover is how to make money passively after your initial launch. So sometimes you see people who are just constantly launching and launching and launching and launching. And I found out after my last really big launch, and it was a huge course, so it was a lot of time to make everything within the course. It was a lot of video to record, and I was also I'm working full time. I'm a teacher, so it's summer for me right now, but I did this during the school year, and so this was a huge investment of time and a lot of stress. And so I'm going to show you how you can make money passively so that you're not doing launch after launch after launch and writing all these new emails, writing all these new blog posts, and constantly doing webinars to promote your courses or your any product. So the first thing that we're going to cover is actually coming up with a topic. And so a lot of you might think like your niche is not profitable, and that you're not going to be able to sell anything about it. But I think that you're going to be surprised, because people are always, if people read your blog, there's bound to be people who are interested in purchasing a product from you. Personally, I have purchased things within like the fitness industry. I would be, once I get further into blogging, and if I were to start booking like live speaking events, I would definitely consider purchasing at least services from somebody who is in like the fashion industry. So there's a lot of different topics that you can actually come up with a profitable topic or product on. And so the first thing you want to look at is, what do you know a lot about? And so I'm going to just kind of walk you through a series of questions here, and you can take notes if you want, and you can also share those notes with me on Twitter after if you want. I always, kind of love to see what you take out of everything. So go ahead and jot down notes and answer these questions as we go along. So first, what do you know a lot about? Obviously, if you're creating a product, you should know a little bit about it. But that doesn't mean, and I'll get a little bit more into this later, that doesn't mean that you have to be like an expert in it. That doesn't mean that you have to have a bachelor's degree in it. It doesn't mean that you've had to have any formal education on it. You can actually, research something, implement it yourself, and then create a course or a product on it. You don't have to be, a designated expert. You can also think about what topics in real life or online, like what topics do you get on your blog that people come to you for help. Um, so, if I were to think about at school, I get just, and it might just be because I'm younger, but I get a lot of technology questions from the other teachers and from my principal. And so, and I'm just using this as an example. If I were to think of what I get asked about in real life, I get asked about that. I also get asked a lot about fitness, just because people see me at the gym all the time. They see that I look fit when they're looking at me. So I get a lot of questions about eating healthy. What type of workouts do I do? So, if I ever wanted to venture outside of blogging for bloggers and helping you guys out, I could, do some fitness stuff. Just a couple examples that I can come up with in my personal life off the top of my head. You also want to make sure that you enjoy it. So I've always kind of liked the idea of business and being able to leverage your money and make income passively. I don't like the idea of having to clock in and that I'm limited to X amount of dollars per hour for X amount of hours. I don't want to spend all of my time working. I just don't like that idea. So I've always been interested in ways to make money that don't require me sitting there for hours upon hours a day. So that's part of why I went into this blogging business venture, is I wanted to help others come up with ways that they can make a passive income. I also enjoy marketing and psychology and kind of what makes people tick and what makes people purchase things. So I like looking at those types of things. And so you're going to have your own answers of what you enjoy doing. And obviously, it should probably be kind of related to your blog topic. You could venture off and do something totally different, but for our purposes right now, you're probably going to want it to be related to your blog. Obviously, I hope you enjoy your blog too. And so you also want to take a look at, those were kind of all about you. Now, this is, what does your audience need help with? And so we're going to talk about how you can know what your audience needs help with, because sometimes they're not just going to come out and say that on their Twitter feed, or they're not they might not make it apparent to you. One thing to keep in mind though is that sometimes you know what they need better than they do. So you know I know, like, Mariah Cause is one of the people who really started to get the list building thing rolling. And so a lot of people didn't realize they needed to be working on their email lists. And so what she did before her launch was she informed them of why they needed to care about it. And then she taught them how to build it. So that's my biggest example of that. But sometimes, maybe with like health or fitness, people don't know why this is so important to them, but it's up to you to kind of explain why it's important to them in your blog posts or webinars or events leading up to your product. So it's okay to go with something that they don't know is important yet, but be sure that before you expect them to purchase something that they don't know they need, be sure to tell them why they need it. But if you do want their opinion and you want to know what they want, you can check out Facebook groups, and you can always create like a Google Doc or an Evernote sheet or whatever to save questions. And Facebook groups, you can use like the search feature on there and search for, maybe you've got a couple ideas. Maybe you came up with 2 or 3 topics that you could maybe write about or create a product about. But you want to see if anybody else is interested in that. And so you can then search those keywords in Facebook. Or you can, if you don't want to search, you can just kind of stock a couple of groups and, see what people are talking about. You can also join Twitter chats and look out for questions. So especially if you are in Twitter chats that are related to your niche, you can kind of just look out for what questions people have and, create products based on that. And then you also want to take note of questions that are asked on your blog. So if you have comments allowed on your blog, then you might notice some questions on different topics. And so, and you'll also notice that some blog posts get more questions than others. And so you can usually take that and kind of pick out, okay, people are really interested in this or they don't quite understand this concept. So I can turn around and create a full product about that. And then you would really dive more in depth into that. And of course, you can always send out a reader survey. And I've gotten usually mixed results on the reader surveys. Sometimes it's really conclusive, like, okay, they really want this, but other times it's kind of vague. And I think that sometimes readers are going to just answer how they think that you would like them to answer. So just keep that in mind when doing reader surveys, but it can also be good for getting just, some opinion of it. So you can also post a Twitter or Facebook survey. And so that can just be, just a quick little question of, what topic do you need most help with? And then you would have a couple of different options. Okay, so then if we're going to combine it all to come up with our product topic, this is just a couple of things to remember. So you don't feel like you need to be the expert, and I went into this a little bit, but sometimes just being a step ahead is all that matters. Sometimes it's almost better to learn from somebody who is just one step ahead of you than somebody who is already super, super duper successful. So, if you just figured out how to run, say, Photoshop, you might know more of the challenges that you struggled than somebody who's been doing it forever. And so your tutorial might actually be more helpful than some big design expert because it's all so easy to them that they forget what the common people of Photoshop might be struggling with. And so you actually might be more helpful to them than somebody who knows everything. And so then as you get better, you're still going to be a couple steps ahead of them. You can just keep creating more and more advanced tutorials. And, there you go. Then you have a progressive thing for your students to walk through and keep learning the next steps. And you're always just a little bit ahead of them. You should also keep in mind that specific is better than general. People are more likely to buy, and they're going to feel more like they got value if they feel like it was specifically made for them, not just for anybody. So people like it when you're speaking directly to them. So, maybe you're doing Photoshop for food bloggers as opposed to just Photoshop in general. Because Photoshop is very, you can do so many different things in it. And so maybe, yeah, there's the basics, but you might not cover what they want to know if they're a food blogger just when you're covering the basics. Whereas a food blogger might have specific things that they would like to know from Photoshop. So if you say, maybe you kind of talk about or relate to food bloggers anyways, you might want to just market to that specific niche. And there's so many other examples of that. I mean, you could do weight loss for new moms rather than just weight loss. Just there's a ton of examples of that. And then after you find a good balance of your audience's needs plus your expertise, then that can be your product topic. So it doesn't have to be super complicated to come up with. And I'm going to talk to you also about how you can find out if it's a good match. And honestly, when we get into that, it's going to be mostly that the money is what speaks. So you never exactly know if people are going to buy it until you put it out there and give people the chance to actually purchase it. Sometimes people will say that they really want something, but they're only willing to take it if it's free. And so now we're going to kind of get into the logistics of it. So how you actually deliver your product. So the first option, I actually have 3 options for you, and I'm going to tell you how much you can charge for it and how you can actually host it. So the first option, I would say that you can create a PDF ebook. And so you could use like Canva, you could use Photoshop, you could use Google Docs to do this. There's so many different options of how you can create a PDF. And I think an ebook, a lot of people feel comfortable doing an ebook just because it's kind of like writing a really long blog post. And so it does seem like kind of a safe option. The downfall to this is that it's perceived as not quite as high of a value as a course or a workshop, so you can't charge as much. Although what I do see a lot of times is that people will start out with an ebook, and that might be kind of their lower offering and or kind of an add-on offering. And so then that kind of gets the foot in the door for people. So they'll buy the low cost thing and then they'll jump up, and people will be repeat purchasers. So they'll then buy your higher cost products once you create them. So if you're really kind of unsure, then an ebook can just be a great way for you to get started and kind of get your feet wet. So you can charge usually around $10 to $29 is what you can get away with for an ebook, and you can deliver. You can do a PDF file through DPD, which is Digital Product Delivery, and that's a program, and I actually have never used it just because I haven't done ebooks, and I've always used Teachable, which we'll talk about as well. And I believe that costs around $10 per month when you're first starting out. Otherwise, if you have Squarespace, you can always use Squarespace Commerce. I do have Squarespace, and I absolutely love it. And that comes with, your kind of your basic Squarespace package, and they just take a percentage out of your sales, just like Teachable would, and just like a lot of programs would, PayPal or anything like that. So option 2 is to just create a 10 module course. And so I think this is really, in it doesn't have to be 10 modules, it could be less, but I think 10 modules is a good place to kind of start and break it down. And so what you can do is you can actually charge $67 to $97 for this, and people will feel like it's a high value because they're getting 10 modules. You can even break those modules down into kind of smaller packages, but the way that I like to think of this at first is that you can deliver it via email. So if you are not quite ready to get into Teachable, if you don't want to do like any video, or you're not really sure how to use Teachable, then you can do just an email automation plus the digital product delivery, or there's even other tools that you can use to like link your email automation. And I think MailChimp is even getting better with that now. It used to just be like ConvertKit was really good with that, but now MailChimp has started to kind of integrate those types of things. So basically you can set it up so that you receive a payment, and then that's going to place somebody into this email list, and they're going to start receiving automations. So if you want to do it that way, then you can certainly set it up that way. Otherwise, you can use Teachable, which does have you can use it for free. It just takes a higher percentage out of each purchase if you are not paying for a paid version of it. And that's also very easy to set up. So you can just do, just think of it, I need to split a topic into 10 modules, and write a good length section for each, break it up into logical points. You could even do like a lot of times I'll see it as a 10-day challenge type setup. So day 1 you need to do this, day 2 we need to do this. And so those also, they're just a high perceived value, and you can get away with charging $67 to $97 for those. And they shouldn't take too long to create either. Option 3 is that you can host a paid workshop. So it would essentially be a workshop like this, it's just paid. And so you're going to do that, you can charge about $37 to $67 for the live access, and then you can actually jump your prices up for the replay. So this is actually what I've been seeing. Regina of By Regina TV, I've seen her doing a lot of, she'll do free webinars or free workshops, but then she'll charge and maybe add in some extra goodies for the replay. But I've also seen a lot of people doing $37 to $67 to be the first time viewer, and so but then the price jumps up afterwards because they've already been able to get that feedback, and it's a great workshop. And so if you needed that validation, then you had to pay a little bit more. But you can also add in like a workbook to make it, just to kind of sweeten the deal a little bit, so people will get a workbook to work through while they're doing the workshop. And you can also set that up through Teachable. So you would just use Hangout on Air, and then you would just put the code into Teachable. And so you would, rather than create like a regular text lesson, you would just put the Hangout in that lesson and then accept payments through there. And that just creates a secure site just so that nobody can like share that link and just have access out of nowhere. And so those are the three things that I suggest that you could start out with as kind of, your first product, and all of those are very high value. And just, it kind of depends on whatever you're comfortable with. If you like doing workshops and if you think that your audience would adapt well to it, or if you think that your topic could be delivered really well that way, you can do that. But for now, we're going to move on to building your launch list. And so a lot of people ask me, why do I need to build a specific list for my launch? And having a list of people who are specifically interested in your product topic just gives you a better odds of having a successful launch. And that's just because it's just kind of a validation that your topic is good and that people are actually interested. So I've also got a couple of options that you can use to grow your list. And so option 1 is just have targeted content upgrades in your blog posts. So obviously before you launch, you're going to have some blog posts that are kind of about your product topic. You kind of want to get your readers thinking about it and interested in your topic before you announce your product. So you can do worksheets that go along with that topic, questions, prompts, cheat sheets, anything that you would normally do for a content upgrade, but just make it slightly more related to your product topic. And you can also, within there, like on Canva, you can make clickable PDF links, I guess. And so you can have a place to click here to pre-order this item just through your content upgrades. And so obviously that's, something that you can do, and you're probably going to be doing content upgrades anyways. So just make them a little bit more targeted and maybe create a special list so that you can kind of see how many people are interested in this topic. So option number 2 is a product related lead magnet. So a lead magnet, as opposed to your content upgrade, a lead magnet is more all over your entire site. So this is kind of your general opt-in freebie, and you're going to advertise this, above the fold in your sidebar with a pop-up, whatever. And so, but this one is going to be kind of a quick download and consumption. So it might be a checklist, a cheat sheet, or a timeline. So it's going to be fairly directly related to your product topic and less related to a specific blog post. But this is actually going to be about the same level of work to create, or the same level of value as those content upgrades. But it's also very useful to people because it's a checklist. It's something that can walk them through steps pretty quickly, and they can kind of see these steps that they need to take. So it's a quick download and consumption. So then option number 3 is actually my favorite one, and I know that you've heard me say this before, but it's a product related challenge or a mini course. And so this creates a little bit more of a lengthened interaction consumption time as opposed to the quick download and quick consumption of a checklist or a cheat sheet. So this is it, and it does take a little bit of planning. And actually what I did for my Map to Blogging Success launch was that I made signups end on a certain day, and then so I walked everybody through this mini course then, and then a few days after that was when I started my launch emails. So everybody was kind of on the same page and getting all these emails at the right time, at the right moment. You don't have to plan it out like that. You could just have it, the people are going through it whenever. But that's totally up to you. But I like the idea of a challenge related to your product or a mini course. And I'm going to talk, a little bit about how you can come up with the right topic for those coming up here. But that just creates kind of a lengthened interaction time. So you're building trust with people before you're going to pitch to them. So you're in their inbox for a couple of days before you go into these launch emails, as opposed to, with the quick download, and a quick consumption, you might only have that one contact with them before you go into your launch. which is unfortunate because it doesn't necessarily give them the time to build up that trust and that relationship with you to be able to feel comfortable purchasing from you. And the last option is, well, it's a webinar. So you're going to do product related webinars, and this is also great for trust building. You're providing a lot of value within the course of an hour or 45 minutes or an hour and a half, however long you want your webinar to last. And so at the end, then you're going to pitch, but you're also building your list for your launch emails. And actually, you're going to get probably about an equal amount of purchases from a webinar versus your launch emails overall. So you really want to work on building both and not, don't just rely on webinars, but don't just rely on your pitch emails either. So that's also a great way to build a list that is interested in your product. So then we're going to talk about creating your product. And this is kind of a short section because obviously you're the expert on your product and you know what you need to include. But here are a couple of things that I found that have helped me out. So what you do want to do, you want to make an outline of each section and module. And so I do this just so that I don't forget anything, because sometimes when you get so into the little details, you forget things and you leave them out because you're like, oh, I'm going to put this in this section. Oh, I'm going to put that in this section. And then you forget completely about it. So make sure that you make an outline and put what you would like to go under each different section in that outline. You do want to research your competition to see if you're missing anything and also if they're missing anything. So if you notice a huge gap in a topic that somebody else is doing, you can really push that point. I mean, you're not going to go out and say, well, you should purchase my product over so-and-so's product because they don't talk about this. But you can just play up, hey, I offer this and it's really awesome. And, maybe people will catch on that so-and-so doesn't do that. You do not want to create your product and then put energy into a launch. I made the mistake of doing this one time where I created my entire product, and it was a huge product, and I only sold one of it. And I was pretty freaking disappointed. But, I learned from it, and ever since then, I make sure to pre-sale. And so I'll start about a month in advance of putting word out about my course and advertising my course and making it available to purchase. And then after I start seeing a couple sales, I will actually start working on my course. And before then, I might create like the first module just so that if anybody does want to purchase it, they can kind of get a little sneak peek, a little taste, and see what's coming. But besides that, unless I have a couple people purchase it, I don't even bother starting. Just because you don't want to put that energy into something that nobody is interested in. You don't get so beat up about it if nobody purchases if you didn't create it already. But what you do want to do is set a date for the product to go live. And like I said, you want to give yourself about a month and maybe even longer if it's going to be a huge product. Or and I'll tell you in just a minute what I kind of did for my big course. And then you want to begin advertising it as a pre-sale. So people know then that it's not going live until a certain date. So you can kind of plan out week by week what you need to accomplish, for it to be able to go live this date. What I did for my Map to Blogging Success course was that it was a 6-week course. And, I created the first module. And so that would go live on week 1. But then after that, each module, it was just one module per week that was live. So it wasn't that everything had to be created all on X day that this went live. So I gave myself a little bit of time built in there that I could work on the product, after the launch was done, which was really nice because that ended up being a gigantic course and a lot of work and a lot of video. So I'm really glad that I did it that way, because otherwise there's no way that I would have been able to create it during that launch period. There's no way that I could have created all of that in a month. So I'm really glad that I did it that way. And that's something that you can do too if you want to create a bigger product. Or you can even, you can make even just even if you're not doing a huge course, you can say that the modules will go live every 5 days or one a week. just to give yourself time to do that if you really need to take the time. But you also want to remember that you don't need to be a perfectionist, because a lot of times people just want whatever knowledge that you do have, and you can always go back and tweak it. And the nice thing about like Teachable is that people always have access to Teachable. So if you do make tweaks, then they can go back and look at those and see what your new information is. Um, and so, like I said before, don't bother finishing a product that no one's purchased. Just scrap it and move on. You know, what you have created of it already, you know, if you wanted to be a little bit prepared, just provide as free content. You know, just make a blog post of it. And, you know, then at least it's not going totally to waste. Do consider adding workbooks for added value. So if you kind of are feeling like, ooh, I don't know if this is good enough, just try adding a workbook, because sometimes that just seems like so much more value when somebody can print it out and kind of write in it. Or I don't know, for some reason people just love workbooks. So just always consider adding a workbook. Do also make a schedule to work on each section of your product through your pre-sale period. So I always did like week by week, this is what I needed to get done. I also like to batch items. So you know, if I knew that I was doing a lot of writing, I would set a time where I might be motivated to write. If I knew that I needed to record video, I would kind of write out those scripts beforehand, and then on a night when my husband went to work, I would record all those videos while he was at work, because I knew that I don't like to record video while he's at home. So he doesn't like my I don't know, he calls it my phone voice, my webinar voice. So he picks on me, and I don't like that. But so, you know, if you need to schedule that, schedule it for a time when your kids are gone, schedule a babysitter for your kids, schedule it when your husband's gone. I know we all get a little bit of stage fright kind of when the people that we love are in the room and we're trying to record video. So just do that for yourself. Also, now the last part, the biggest part to me, is continuing to make money after the launch. So what you need to do that is a sales funnel. So what is a sales funnel? I mean, that's a very, you know, as bloggers, a lot of times we don't hear all of these businessy terms, but you know, a lot of the big business owners are like, oh yeah, sales funnels, and it doesn't sound fun at all. So a sales funnel takes casual followers and it will turn them into someone who trusts your expertise and is ready to buy from you. So basically, they might be somebody who follows you on Twitter, and you know, maybe they've checked out a blog post or two, but the sales funnel is going to be like, oh wow, this looks awesome, and so then they're going to sign up for a freebie of some sort, and then you're going to walk them through a process that's going to build a lot of trust, and then you're going to pitch to them. So you know, why do you need this sales funnel? Why should you do that to people? That sounds kind of sketchy, doesn't it? Sales funnels are what allow you to have a passive income. So this means that you can do the work one time. So you're going to create the course one time, you're going to write your launch emails one time, you're going to host those webinars one time. And then you're going to be able to make money on it daily with no effort. So I've actually created an amazing sales funnel system using free courses. That's what I use for my sales funnels. And I do still have some free courses that are not sales funnel related at all. I do just like to provide some free value that is pitch free. But a lot of my free courses lead to sales funnels, or are sales funnels. So why do mini courses work so well for a sales funnel? They're actually highly attractive, you know, as a lead magnet. So people really see the value in that, and they're like, oh, this is a course and it's free. That's awesome. So people are really excited to sign up for them. And then subscribers are greeted with value to their inbox for the next couple of days. So when it's day after day after day that you're providing value in their inbox, it builds trust and it shows your expertise very quickly. It's much better that people are seeing this trust and seeing your great value for a few days right in their inbox than trying to get them back to your blog day after day. So people are more likely to read things that are in their inbox than just, you know, make a visit back to your blog. So you might be providing that information on your blog, but it's less likely that those people are going to go back and visit it right away. So this makes them much more likely to build trust right away, and also much more likely to open future emails from you, just because you have established, I don't know, it's kind of that psychology deal where oh, I see this. This is a trigger, and so now I know that this is good. Kind of like when you ring a bell and a dog comes for food because you've just trained it to do that. So now this person is going to see your name in their inbox, and they're going to get excited and want to open it because they know that you provide value. But I found that there's actually a lot more struggles that come with making free mini courses. That people are more intimidated by them than they are excited to create them. So, like some of the topics I get is how do you pick a topic that doesn't give too much away, which is totally hard. I mean, and that's one of the biggest struggles that you get is you want it to be related to your product, but how do you not give your product totally away? Or how do you mention a product and build curiosity but not sound too salesy? So obviously, like, you want your mini course to relate to your product and you want to name drop it, but you don't want it to just sound like a sales pitch. People will just unsubscribe then. Or how long should it be? Because there is definitely a sweet spot for how long a mini course should be. You don't want people to feel like they're not getting value, but you also don't want people to feel like it's dragging on forever. Or how do you properly lead into the launch emails to get mini course students to purchase? Because the mini course isn't necessarily what makes people purchase, but it's the launch emails after because you built the trust through the mini course. And the last question I usually get is how do you even write sales or launch emails? Because they might be like, I think I can write this mini course, but what do you mean about sales or launch emails? How can I? No, I can't do that. So I would like to introduce to you Passive Income for Bloggers. And this is, I like to say, the course that shows you how to make money while sipping margaritas. Or for those of you with kids, you might be changing diapers instead. Or sipping a margarita while changing diapers. And so what you're going to have after this course is a system that will bring you new subscribers each day while priming them to purchase your paid products. So because this is such an attractive lead magnet, people just anybody who visits your site is going to want to sign up for this. And so you're bringing new people into your sales funnels every day. You're also going to get free time because you only have to put forth the effort one time for this system to work. So you can create this product, create this mini course in the sales funnel, and you can have this all set up within a weekend. I mean, it might take you longer to create your product initially, but the mini course and the sales funnel, you can do this in a weekend. I actually just wrote the sales funnel for this passive income course, and I'm going to be adding a little bit about what I did for I think this is cool. I am going to show you what I am doing for my sales funnel for this course within the course. So I'm going to be adding that section pretty soon here about what I'm doing for this sales funnel. And I actually wrote all of that in probably 2 hours. So it doesn't take that long at all to come up with your mini course and your sales funnel. And you're also going to have excited subscribers and customers that feel like their money is well spent. And last but not least, you're going to have more money because this system is going to get people excited, and so you're not going to have to just keep pitching and pitching and pitching to them, but it's going to, I mean, the money is just going to come to you naturally because of the sales funnel. So you're going to just bring in more and more clients every day just because of this system. I mean, that's what the system is set up for. So here's how you can actually sign up for it. You can click on the button below, create your login information, and then you're going to enter your card information or pay with PayPal, and then click enroll in course. So I've got pictures here. I know a lot of times people will just create an account and think that they're signed up, but you do actually have to go through the payment process. Of course, that only makes sense, right? And here's a little sneak peek of kind of what the inside of the classroom looks like. So I actually have video lessons, and the video lessons do go a little bit more in depth because it is me talking on top of, text or bullet points. But then I also have some text lessons, and so that's basically the information just in written form, just in case you want to sneak in a lesson at work or something. But the video lessons do have more overall information, and there is a couple of them that are not text-based lessons just because I needed to screen share with you and actually show you a technical process. So what's all included? So you're going to get video lessons, and you can go get through all the videos actually in about an hour. Obviously, you're not going to be able to implement all of the tactics within an hour, but the video overall is about an hour long. And that is broken up into different videos, so it's not like you need to sit here and watch an entire webinar. There's also text-based lessons. Like I said, it's the same content. It's just some things I could only do in video format. You're also going to get a printable workbook just for you to kind of jot down your ideas, and I've also broken it up a little bit into just some things that I thought worked really well in, being able to do pen and paper. You're also going to get a couple of bonuses. So you're going to get a sales page outline. So this is actually how I write my sales pages. So just in case you don't have your product yet, you're going to learn how you can write an effective sales page, because sometimes the sales page can sell itself. And you're also going to find out how to write launch and sales emails. And I tell you exactly. I usually do 7 sales emails. Some people do 5, but I tell you exactly what I say in each email. And it's a setup that will work for you for any niche as well, just because it plays on psychology and it plays on, giving information at the right time. And then you're also going to get an introduction email template. So the introduction to a mini course is very important, because it's either going to really attract people and give them a way to connect with you in other places as well and bring them back to your blog continually, or it's going to turn them off and get them to hit the unsubscribe button. So we want them to be able to connect with you right away. And so I show you how you can write an effective email to do that.